What's we talked about being here, the message to the dealer that wasn't here. What is it that they missed out on while they weren't here?
You miss out on the vendor side of it, but really like best practices are things that are, the things that are going on in their business, they're not alone in this. Coming to something like this, hearing what's working for somebody in San Antonio, Texas, or California, and you go, wait a minute, that's the same problem I'm having, and listening to how they fixed it or where they're at in that process.
Welcome into the Independent Thinking Podcast. This is your host, Rob Stott. We are coming off of a Oasys, the first ever Oasys Summit in Nashville, Tennessee. So if I'm a little raspy, apologies. Hank Alexander and his team there, team, a keyword that we'll get into in a moment, but team put on quite the event in Nashville for our custom integrator members that were in attendance and our vendor partners and other partners that were with us for the Oasys Summit, this first ever. Awesome to hear and awesome to be able to say, because I know, behind the scenes, a lot of work went into, the rebranding of the home technology specialists nationwide group to Oasys. And this was really their first opportunity beyond primetime to get together, talk about what that name means, talk about the process of getting there. But really how, the summit was like the first opportunity for the name to be out there and sort of, this is where the work begins. So it's kind of what how the week was set up and kicked off. And I mean, just to watch the collaboration and, the way, the education, the way, our vendors and our members and the other industry professionals that were there just got together and learned from one another, and we're open to talking about ways of doing business, and just the theme kind of boiled down to learning about how to work on your business as opposed to in it. And it was just so apparent from every session to, all the different meetings, the roundtables that were had, the networking events at night. It was just, Hank and team put on one heck of a show. And again, we mentioned team. We'll dive into that with Hank on this podcast this week, but just need to see, the new field team for Oasys and Nationwide CI channel come together and be there together in Nashville. So just lots to dive into, and wanted to take the chance while we were there, the waning moments of the show, to chat with Hank about the event, how it went, and just sort of where he goes from here. He and his team go from here. So appreciate him taking that time as we kicked back on a very comfy couch there at the Embassy Suites in Nashville, and debriefed on what that first Oasys Summit was like. So let's dive into it. This is Hank Alexander, Director of Oasys, here on the Independent Thinking Podcast. All right, we are back on the Independent Thinking Podcast, and probably the most relaxed podcast, right? This couch.
Talk about a comfy couch.
This is something. Let's lay back. Let's kick it back, man.
Wow.
This is. We're here in Nashville in the closing moments of our first ever Oasys Summit. Mr. Hank Alexander,
Absolutely.
Director of Oasys.
It was fun.
How was? Yeah, well, you said it. How was it?
It was amazing.
How was it?
Right. This is the Oasys Lounge. Like, this is our Oasis now. The summit was great. Good attendance from members, good attendance from vendors. Everybody was into it, like really well engaged, a lot of learning. I will shame the people who weren't here. You missed a great time.
So.
You missed a great time.
So.
A lot of education. I think Jason Sayin and Matt Bernath, when they, their classes and talking about working on as opposed to in your business, I think that was like everybody just, they hear it, but they got a process down.
Well, that's one of the things, and we'll dive into it, for sure deeper here. But the big theme I got out of this show was exactly that: is the on your business, not in it. And I mean, it feels like one of those things where, we had a blog about it not long ago on the Independent Thinking blog, the same topic. It's like, you can talk. It's got to be talked about a lot, right?
Yep.
So for I forget what the old statistic is about how many times you have to hear something before it sticks.
Yeah, like what do you?
It's at least like 6 or 7 times,
Yeah.
right? But goes to show that it's important, and the way you framed up everything at this show. Obviously the one-on-ones with vendors is a very important aspect of this, and why members do come, but that education and focusing in on those things that they don't think about when they're back home and out on a job, or
we all get into our day-to-day lives and you forget about something. It's right. One of the things when we ended the whole thing was, don't focus on everything. Pick one thing, maybe two, and then focus on that, but put time on your calendar to actually implement that. Focusing on it is one thing. Putting the time on your calendar, whether you take a couple hours a week, a whole day every week, whatever it is, it doesn't matter what that time is. Put some time on your calendar to go back and focus on that one thing and implement that. And as opposed to trying to, if you try to do everything, you get nothing done, because everything, you get back into the slipstream of your day-to-day life.
Yeah, and I mean, it's if anything, the time away from home, like here, is that time where they can focus on those things and figure out, what that one thing is that they want to try to do.
Absolutely.
Whether it's the business process mapping that Jason recommended, or I think even Bruce being your lighting Sherpa, being here talking about all that aspect, like a buzzwordy situation right now in the industry, but rightfully so, because of the opportunity that it presents, right? So
absolutely.
So much that they can pick up on and hear from one another, and not just from the partners and vendors that are here, but each other, right?
Yes.
Like, that's when you boil it down to what this is, the ideas that they can share amongst their peers in the industry.
The peer-to-peer part of it, and we finished the conference up with roundtables, peer-to-peer, and they find out what's working for somebody else, and they go, wait a minute, I'm not charging enough for labor, or I'm not charging enough for the second person, or I'm not doing this and somebody else is. And they start to think about those things. They have that aha moment, and that's what it's all about. Even that's funny, because even last night during the scavenger hunt, and we had dealers with each other and members and vendors and all of these different kind of dynamic going on, they were doing that exact same thing. Like, walking down the street in Nashville, they were having conversations about stuff like that, and it was like, they actually, at the end of it, they came up and they were like, we actually were talking, not having fun doing it, but they were actually already kind of networking, and that was. So
hold on, you're saying there's a method to your madness?
There was a method to the madness. It wasn't just a scavenger hunt
down on Broadway.
Down on Broadway. It wasn't just a pub crawl.
Listen, that's enough to get people wanting to go, but. There actually was, real reasons.
There was reasons why people were on teams that they were on, and it was anyway. Yeah.
Well, what's the we talked about being here. The message to the dealer that wasn't here. What's the what do you say to them to not necessarily convince them, but like what is it that they missed out on while they weren't here in Nashville?
Yeah, so you miss out on obviously the vendor side of it. And there's all kinds of things, information that all the vendors are sharing all the time. But really, like, best practices are things that are, the things that are going on in their business. They're not alone in this. Like, inventory issues or freight issues or HR or hiring people or whatever it is. Like, they're not alone in that. And it's part of why you belong to a group, is because you're not alone in that. We're here to help. But coming to something like this and hearing what's working for somebody in San Antonio, Texas, or in California, or wherever, Chicago, wherever, like in Detroit, whatever it is, right? And you go, wait a minute, like, that's the same problem I'm having, and listening to how they fixed it, or where they're at in that process, not necessarily even fixing it, because it may not even be something that has to be fixed, just where they're at in a process to working on that business and those kinds of things. It's the part of it that you can't go it alone, and that's why you're part of a group, and it's part of why you should be part of a group, is because it's like-minded people going through the same things, and you
the
gotta have
diversity
help.
of the group too, right? Like we had some dealers here 25 years plus in business.
Yes. Yeah.
Some that are just cracking 2 years.
Yes.
That ability to see people at different stages, not just in maybe a certain process, but like literally different stages of being a business in general.
Guys that are, I met a guy that from one of our regions that like he's just cracking that $700,000 mark in revenue, and like what are the next steps? And like you hear it from somebody who's doing a couple $1 million already, and they go like, this is how you get to the next step, or here's a watch out, here's where there could be a potential landmine, or this is how we got to that next, how we tipped to the $1 million mark, or whatever it is. And so it's all of those things, and it's not even sometimes the larger guy helping a newer guy. We find that like somebody who's maybe been in the business a couple of years, they go, oh yeah, we use Slack channels all the time for communication with our teams. And you've got somebody who's been in business for 25 years and they've never used Slack, and they're like, we've been having this challenge communicating, and and so all of a sudden now they come away with something that guy that's just been in business for a few years, he can help them.
It's pretty cool. It is a neat dynamic, and the members and vendors have their own dynamic. Now at this show, we kind of buried the lead here a little bit. Like the Oasys team, they were here. They were here in force.
They were. We definitely came out deep with the Oasys team.
So talk. I mean, the first opportunity for you guys that you got a 4-person field team now. You got Andy was here, of course.
Andy was here. David Watt.
Right. David showed up.
So David was here, head of our CE team.
To see this, I cracked when I introduced them. That a year ago, it was the Hank show, man, to see this all come together, and you have the support now behind you and the CI channel here, really awesome to see. But like from your perspective, having them here, what was it like for you?
Very inspiring, I'll say, because it was just me. Had admins, had good people around me, and really good support from people. But now when you have that field team, and we hired 4 people who eat, breathe, sleep custom integration, and care about the members, and they care about the vendors, and they're excited to be a part of something that we're building and being in early to build something, as opposed to here's something and maintain it or don't mess it up or whatever. No, we're growing something, and this is what we're, and like you see their excitement, and their excitement excites me. Like I feed off, and it's been a lot of fun with those 4.
We joked around, but I think it's very obvious, and this in a positive way. Like there's a pep in your step at the end of a show. Like typically, you're a little exhausted. I mean, yes, we are actually lounging on couches right now, so this isn't helping what I'm about to say. But like there is a pep in your, like an excitement that is just it's apparent, and knowing that the groundwork has been laid here for what's to come.
Yep, and it's been a long ride. It's been fun. It's been. I will say it. I say it all the time. This is a job that I've never once have ever woke up and been like, I don't want to go into the office today, or I love what I do. And now with these 4 people around us, we've got a new admin who wasn't able to be here, Josh. We've got all of these people now on this team, and they work so well together, and they're excited about it, and that excitement gives me excitement. And I mean, we're just like, the whole thing is it's a lot of fun, and I will say that our leadership team at Nationwide really believes in what we're doing. And Andy's done a phenomenal job, and the support from everybody has just been great. It's so much fun.
Well, I mean, and not even, the next question here, not specifically about the summit, but, when you think about what the potential is, and I know you've talked a lot about the drive to 1,000 and growing, and, the Oasys brand being about supporting more integrators, a wider, a potential integrator community to be served by this group. But, what are some of those next milestones that you're looking towards as we move out here over the next few weeks and months?
So we're membership-wise, 260 members. I think the milestone that I'm excited to get to is 300, and we're coming up on that pretty quickly, actually, really quick. And seeing the diversity of the group. So somebody just joined a few days ago in the Chicago area and growing, and I'll say in that $800,000 to $900,000 in revenue a year, and seeing that guy coming in and being part of a group that we've got guys all over the spectrum. And again, it's not just helping somebody grow; it's helping the guy who's already $3 or $4 or $5 million be more profitable and work on their business. And the whole thing is just it's fun.
There's a lot going on. It's pretty cool to see. And yeah, I mean, we haven't even touched on some of the things that have been sort of around for this group, like the CEDIA membership aspect and the education thing. Like, there's more reasons right now, right? It's cool to see that.
No other group pays for CEDIA dues.
Right.
We do. We share the CEDIA Academy with Oasys, so the Oasys members have it with us. But all the things that, it's just like there's tools, you just just access them. And it's just like coming to the summit. This is one of those tools. Put that tool in your tool belt, and it'll make you more productive. And I know it's a big commitment. I get it. Like, you're taking 2 or 3 or 4 days out of your business. It's a commitment. I understand it, but it's worth it. It is absolutely worth it. So,
coming out of this now, obviously, I mean, I know you have objectives for kind of what you want to see it become, but some of the things that excite you about, not necessarily number milestones, but other things that you can now work towards.
I think the biggest one that's on my plate next is digital marketing.
Yeah.
And really, we've done a great job at Nationwide with that part of it. We own a couple of great digital companies. And I think what the integrator needs is it's
all good. We're in downtown Nashville, man.
Downtown Nashville, and
people need
they're coming for us. They're coming for you, Rob. Right. I told you they were going to catch you.
Yeah, I know. I should have.
Yeah, I told you they were going to
one scavenger task.
That last one was. Anyway, what an integrator needs for marketing and digital and all of those things is different than what a retailer needs. And so for me, that's the big one that's sitting out there, and we're working hard on that one. I think that's probably one of the next big milestones for us. Back half of the year, we've got some new vendors lined up for the back half of the year. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to jinx anything. We've got some initiatives around lighting, obviously. We'll be at CEDIA in September in Denver. We'll be at Lightapalooza. So a lot of really big things, out there on the horizon.
And one of the fun conversations I had, and this is kind of getting back to the growth numbers, but with Mark, one of the new field team guys here, just about the opportunity of what the potential dealer could look like, right?
Yep.
And knowing that there's an opportunity to get a bunch of people that don't maybe understand the benefits of a buying group, that they're not in one. You've referenced some pretty crazy CEDIA statistics about the number of dealers that are in groups, all the groups collectively, right, in the CI space. And there is a large portion of dealers in the range that, what you're talking about wanting to support from an Oasys standpoint, that aren't in a group. So, like, what are some of those hurdles that, you think it'll behoove our field team to help them overcome, the myths or whatever that might be out there about buying groups?
A lot of people, and a lot of people just don't know what groups do. Right. Like, it's just I've heard of Oasys, or I've heard of Oasys. I just don't know what a group does. Like, what are they going to do for my business? Like, I have money in the bank, I have profit. Like, what are you going to do that? Like, I have a great deal with XYZ vendor already. Like, but it's, it's the power of 260 people that, that collective power that we get better programs, or we get different things. And it's just educating people who aren't in a group what a group does.
Right.
I will tell you the first question that comes up when you talk to an integrator is, well, I'm buying from this vendor. Do I have to change that? And it's like, no, we're not. Like, if it's not broke, we're not going to fix it. You're not buying from us. Like, that's the number one. It's you continue it. You're building on it, and you have people around you, and all of that collective wealth goes together to help you buy better and compete better and be more profitable and all of those things. And there's all kinds of tools. I mean, literally, we can help you buy paper for your copy machine. We can help you on, working with like our D-Tools program, our D-Tools partnership. D-Tools links with our distribution partners in exchange. And so you're working on a proposal in D-Tools, and you can see the pricing and availability right from your preferred partner. And then when you land that job is ready to be completed, you can just hit a button and it uploads it right to exchange, and the order is processed. It's those simplifications of things that just a group can help you do. You've got to find, and you just got to find the right group.
Well, it goes back, kind of bringing the conversation full circle, what we talked about at the top, and this show being themed around efficiency and finding ways to save time and money. It's what it boils down to. Those are the things that aligning with the right group, with a group in general, is something that, they may not see because they're too busy being in their business as opposed to working on it. So,
and they hear it from other people. Like, a rep may say, "Oh, you should be part of a group," or whatever. These people are out there helping you, and they have your best interest, and you absolutely should be looking at, and if you're in a group, you should be looking at what are groups doing that can help me. And those are all the things. Again, it kind of is full circle. It's like, if you weren't here, you should be. We're all busy, but taking, 3 days out of your schedule to do something like this, it really is, it's powerful.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. Great stuff. Kind of leaving on a high, right?
Thank you for being here, by the way.
Thank you for having me.
It was great to have you here. We had
Anytime,
Rob White here. I mean, we had a lot of fun. It was
quite the contingent of people. So it was a good time, and we had fun sharing the message about the rebranding, like how you got to the Oasys name, like just so many aspects of this show that we really haven't touched to this point. If you weren't here, you missed it. We'll just leave it at that. Drop that nugget.
We could spend 3 days recapping the last 3 days, guys.
No, but it was awesome, man. So we look forward to being back here in a few weeks for prime time and seeing what Oasys. I know, right? Like 87 days.
87 days now. Yeah, 87 days.
As we sit here recording this, so it'll be even less by the time this publishes. So we're getting there. But no, we look forward to continuing to follow the story of Oasys and see where you take it, man.
We'll be back in Nashville, in a few weeks, it feels like, and then. Like I said, CEDIA, we've got some tech summits. Yeah, we got some tech summits that we're doing. We're doing all of them, but we've got some coming up the back half of the year. Yeah, CEDIA in Denver. We'll
be on the road with you every step of the way.
You'll be there with us. We'll be doing this. Hopefully, we can bring this couch and do this.
Like, get this to go with us. We'll make Juanita one last call out. Juanita made this all come together so well. We get this couch to come with us to wherever we go.
Put some packing slips and some stuff on this, and just have them ship it out with all of our stuff. Right? Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, we appreciate it, and like I said,
you, Rob.
Look forward to continuing this.
Thank you, brother. Yep. Appreciate everything.
Awesome, and thank you again to Hank, to Juanita, and part of the events team here at Nationwide, and the new field team for the CI group, and everyone else that was involved in the event, members for attending, vendors for being there and supporting the event. Just a great time all around, and like we referenced there towards the end, not too long before we're back in Nashville for prime time. So I look forward to getting back to what's probably one of my favorite cities to stop in, for a professional business setting, and they know how to have some fun as well while you're there. So appreciate it, and as always, appreciate you listening to the Independent Thinking Podcast, and we'll catch you next time.